When a mother passed during childbirth, people often blames the child for the misfortune sometimes due to pain, but is it fair? In this story, we're going to explore what they say, rejected by man favored by the gods. So let's dive into our new story of Aurora, the potter's daughter. In the quiet village of Nenguwo lived a man named Taurai with his two daughters, Ariana and Aurora. Their mother had died giving birth to Aurora, and from that tragic day, Taurai became both mother and father to his girls. Life wasn't easy, but he gave them all the love he could. Ariana, the eldest, was strikingly beautiful. Her long dark hair flowed like a river, and her almond eyes mirrored those of her late mother. The villagers adored her, not just for her beauty, but because she reminded them of the woman they had lost. Aurora, on the other hand, was quiet, humble, and patient. She was soft-spoken, always ready to lend a hand, and had inherited none of her mother's physical features, something the relatives never forgot to whisper about. She took her mother away, they would say behind her back, pretending she couldn't hear. Taurai, though loving both daughters, found solace in Aurora's gentle spirit. She would wake up early, clean the house, tend the small garden, and mold clay pots that she sold at the market to help her father. Ariana, she was more interested in polishing her nails and brushing her hair than helping with chores. Still, Taurai never showed favoritism. He was afraid to hurt either of them. One bright afternoon, Ariana and Aurora packed a few clay pots and made their way to the village market. Aurora had worked tirelessly to shape and fire them the previous week. Her hands stained red from the clay, her arms sore but proud. The market was busier than usual. A group of well-dressed men stood on a wooden platform, their voices commanding attention. A hush fell over the crowd as one man raised his staff and spoke. Tomorrow, the Crown Prince of Mavondo is calling every maiden to the palace. He seeks a wife from among the villagers. All unmarried maidens are to gather at the main square, dressed in their finest. Gasps filled the air. Young women giggled and whispered excitedly. Ariana's eyes sparkled with ambition. She grabbed Aurora's hand, tugging her toward the tailor's hut. "Let's go to James," she said. "We can't show up in these rags." James, the village tailor, was a kind man. He had always admired Aurora from afar, even confessing to Taurai once that he wished to ask for her hand when she turned 18. Seeing them now, he greeted them with a warm smile. "I heard the news," he said. "I have 2 dresses I can lend you. One's a deep red. It's bold, just like royalty. The other is a soft pink, simple but lovely." He handed the red dress to Aurora and the pink one to Ariana. As they stepped out of the shop, Ariana glanced at her sister, jealousy flickering in her eyes. "I should wear the red," she said suddenly, yanking the dress from Aurora. Aurora didn't protest. She never did. All her life, she had given up things to keep her sister happy. Her toys, her food, even her space in their small bedroom. When they returned home, their father heard about the dress and the fight. "I can give you some money," he offered gently. "Go back to James, get another dress." Ariana crossed her arms. "It's not about money, Baba. Aurora doesn't even want to go, do you? She likes the village life. She doesn't care about palaces or crowns." Taurai sighed, torn. "I think it's better you both go together," he said after a pause. "For safety, if nothing else." Aurora nodded. "I'll wear the pink one." "It's fine, Baba. I'm not going for the crown. I just want to see what kind of man the prince is." The Potter's Daughter, Part 2. The following morning, the village of Nenguwo buzzed with excitement. Birds chirped as if they too anticipated the royal event. Ariana and Aurora woke early, dressed, and began the long journey toward the palace. Ariana strutted in the red dress, confident, her eyes gleaming with dreams of royalty. Aurora followed behind, the pale pink gown brushing against the dust road, her hands cradling a small satchel of food prepared by their father. As they walked, they came upon an old woman by the side of the path. The woman was hunched and frail, struggling to balance a heavy clay pot of water on her head. "Mhoro vana vangu," the woman greeted kindly. "Would one of you help me carry this pot to my hut? It's just a short distance off the road." Ariana scoffed, lifting her dress away from the dirt. "No, old lady, I can't dirty myself with your muddy water. I'm going to the palace and I need to look perfect." "But please," the woman pleaded. "It's only a short walk." "I said no!" Ariana snapped, already walking away without a second glance. Aurora looked at the woman's tired face, then at her sister's shrinking figure ahead. She sighed and smiled softly. "I will help you, Gogo. Let me take it." "But my child, You're heading to the palace, the old woman said. This will take you in the opposite direction. That's okay, Aurora replied, already adjusting the pot onto her shoulder. You need help now, the palace can wait. The woman led Aurora through a narrow path, and soon they reached a small, crumbling hut surrounded by thorn trees. As they set the pot down, the woman offered her food, but Aurora politely declined. I must hurry back before I'm too late, she said. Wait, the old woman said. She stepped into her hut and came back holding a small ancient wooden box. It was dark, carved with strange patterns, and tied with a worn leather string. Take this, she said, placing the box in Aurora's hands. Give it only to the king. Do not open it. Do not let anyone else touch it. You may not understand it now, but it will reveal its purpose in time. Aurora hesitated but nodded. Thank you, Gogo. With that, she turned and hurried toward the palace, her feet dusty and her heart steady. By the time she arrived, the palace courtyard was full. Music floated through the air, and villagers surrounded a wide open space where many young women danced and paraded. They wore gowns that shimmered like jewels, their faces painted and adorned with beads and flowers. Aurora stepped into the crowd, unnoticed and plain. She stood out not for her beauty, but for the quietness she carried like a second skin. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. But before she could go far, a young man approached her. He wore modest clothes, his hair tied back with a simple band, and his eyes twinkled with curiosity. You've arrived late, he said, and in such a simple gown. Don't you wish to be chosen by the prince? He smiled gently. A prince is not something I've ever wished for. I like simple things. Caring for our father. Helping my sister achieve her dreams. I gave up the better dress so she could feel confident today, and I helped an old woman who needed water. That's what matters to me. The young man raised his brows, impressed. Then why did you still come? Aurora reached into her small bag and pulled out the ancient wooden box. The old woman gave me this. She said I must deliver it only to the king. I haven't opened it, and I don't intend to. I only came to fulfill her request. He looked at the box, then at her again, smiling. The king will soon receive gifts from the maidens. You should step forward when they call. Who knows, maybe your honesty will catch the prince's eye. Aurora nodded politely and moved forward to where the girls were queuing. She was almost at the edge of the crowd when she heard her name echo through the air. Aurora. Aurora! She turned sharply. It was her sister, Ariana, breathless, eyes darting toward the small box in Aurora's hands. You're here now? Ariana said, narrowing her eyes. What are you holding? Aurora smiled, unaware of her sister's intent. It's a box, a gift for the king. An old woman gave it to me and told me I must deliver it personally. But Ariana's eyes gleamed. Greed clouded her heart. Without waiting, she yanked the box from Aurora's hands. Just then the trumpets sounded. The king has arrived! You should go back, Ariana said quickly, brushing dirt off her dress. Don't embarrass us with your simple gown. Aurora hesitated, confused. But I was asked to deliver it. All right, Ariana cut in. I'll give it. Just wait outside. Don't show your face to the king. Still gentle in spirit, Aurora nodded. Please, just don't open it before he sees it. I won't, Ariana said impatiently, already turning toward the palace. As Aurora stood aside, her heart calmed despite her confusion. Ariana saw an opportunity. When her turn came, she walked forward, head high, red dress glowing in the sunlight. She bowed deeply and spoke. I am Ariana, daughter of Taurai of Nengawo. On my way here, I met an old woman struggling to carry water. I helped her, and in return, she gave me this box. She told me to pass it only to the king. The king leaned forward, intrigued. The box shimmered faintly in Ariana's hands. A noble heart indeed, the king announced. Here comes the crown princess. Gasps and applause rippled through the crowd. The music resumed. Jealous eyes turned toward Ariana, now glowing with pride. But before the ceremony could proceed, footsteps echoed from the grand staircase. A tall young man appeared, dressed in royal robes, his face familiar. It was the crown prince. He walked toward Ariana but stopped suddenly, his eyes narrowing. He looked at the box, then at her. No, he said firmly, it's not her. The crowd froze. Confusion spread like wildfire. "What do you mean, son?" the king asked. The prince turned to the gathering. "Our ancient tradition states that the true bride of the crown prince will be chosen not by her looks or words, but by destiny. The spirit of our ancestors will guide the one worthy to bring the sacred box. It can only be found by the heart it chooses, not claimed by lies." He faced Ariana. "This box was given by a spirit, not a woman. She tests hearts, not faces." Then his voice rose. "Where is the true bearer of this box? Where is Aurora?" Aurora, hearing her name, gasped. The crowd parted as she stood trembling, still in her pale pink gown, hands clasped. The prince stepped forward. "It was you, wasn't it? You helped the old." The prince stepped forward. "It was you, wasn't it? You helped the old woman. You spoke of giving, not wanting. I met you outside the gates. I knew then." The crowd erupted in murmurs. "Forgive me, my prince," Ariana cried, falling to her knees. "I was jealous. I lied." The king stood. "You have committed treason by lying to the crown. You would be hanged. But as a favor to your sister's heart, you are banished. Never step foot in this palace again, not even on your sister's wedding day." Ariana was dragged away, weeping. The prince turned to Aurora and knelt on one knee. "Will you marry me?" Tears welled in her eyes. "But I am just a potter's daughter." He smiled. "That's exactly what this kingdom needs. A queen with a potter's heart. One who shapes lives with humility and love." She nodded and the crowd roared with joy. And so, the simple girl in the pale pink gown married the crown prince. And together they ruled with kindness and wisdom. Her clay pots, once sold in the village, were now treasures in the royal halls, symbols of the queen, who never chased a crown, but earned one through grace. Moral lesson: true worth is not measured by beauty, wealth, or how loudly one speaks, but by the quiet strength of character, the humility to serve, and the courage to stay kind in a world that often rewards pride. Aurora's story teaches us that fate favors the pure of heart,